All right, in this lesson, we're going to talk about multiplying rational numbers. Remember that rational numbers are numbers that can be written as a fraction, or if they're written as a decimal, they're decimals that either end or repeat. All right. Well, one of the things that we're going to look at in this lesson is looking at the signs. Okay, if they're both positive, if the signs are the same, either both positive or both negative, then the answer is always going to be positive. All right, so if the signs are the same, the product or the answer is going to be positive. If the signs are different, a positive and a negative, or a negative and a positive, the answer is going to be a negative. All right, so copy this into your notes. All right, so copy into the notes. All right. All right, so we're going to talk about multiplying fractions first of all. All right, so to multiply fractions, you just multiply straight across. 1 times 6 and 8 times 7. So 1 times 6 is 6. 8 times 7 is 56. Now we have to reduce that. Okay, so we're going to use our graphing calculator to do that. And to do that, you go 6 divided by 56, then math, enter, and we end up with 3 over 28. Okay. All right. Next one. We have 3 times 5, and we have 5 times 8. Okay. Now there's a couple different ways that you can do this. I'm going to do it the way that I did the above one, but you can also notice that there's a 5 on top and a 5 on bottom that would cancel out if you wanted to do it that way. If you already know how to do it that way, you can do that. But otherwise, just go 3 times 5 is 15, 5 times 8 is 40. All right, graphing calculator, and go 15 divided by 40, and go math, enter, and we end up with 3/8. All right, which if we would have canceled those 5s out, we would have, 3/8. Okay. And you notice in both of these cases up here that the signs were both positive on both of those. Here we have one negative sign and one positive, so the signs are different. So the answer is going to be a negative. So we have negative 7 times 4, and it doesn't matter if I make the top one negative or the bottom one. You just make one of them negative. I usually do the top one. And then 8 times 7, okay? So negative 7 times 4 is negative 28. 8 times 7, once again, remember, is 56, okay? Use the calculator. We end up, make sure that on the calculator you use this negative down here, negative 28 divided by 56, math, enter, and our answer is negative 1/2. All right, moving on. Okay, so now on this one, we have a whole number. Now they're both positive. 8 is a positive and the 6/7 is a positive. But it's a whole number. And remember, on a whole number, you just draw your fraction bar and put a 1 underneath it. So this would become 8 times 6 and 1 times 7. 8 times 6 is 48. 1 times 7 is 7. Okay. Now we can see here that we have 48 divided by 7. Okay, that's improper. So we're going to say 48 8 divided by 7. We're going to find the answer is 6.8 and a whole bunch of stuff. Then we're going to do math, enter, enter. Okay. And so that is already in lowest terms. Okay. So what we could do if we want to is 0.857142.857. Do math, enter, enter. Not sure why that didn't do right, but the easiest way actually is just to do 7 goes into 48. Okay, so that is goes in there 6 times. You can see that because there's 6 point something. 6 times 7 is 42. Subtract it. 8 minus 2 is 6. Bring that up, and we have 6 over 7. So the answer is 6 and 6/7. I'm not sure why that did not come up on the calculator, but either way, this is how we did it. Okay. Once again, -3 over 1. You have a negative and a positive. So we're going to say -3 times 5. And we have 1 times 8. We end up with -15 over 8. If we do it long division, 8 goes into 15. Oh, goes in there 1 time, which is 8. And we have a 7 left over, so we bring it up. And we have 7/8. All right. So, and then now this next one, they're both positive, but you notice here we have a mixed numeral. Okay. Remember, okay, so remember this stays as 2 over 1. 5 1/3. I use a little thing called what I always call the big C. Okay, it's like a big C. You multiply the bottom and the whole number and add the top. So that would be 5 times 3, 3 times 5 plus 1. 3 times 5 is 15 plus 1 is 16 over the denominator 3. Okay, so that means, and I'm going to bring, I guess I should have brought that over here, but I didn't. So that means that I'm going to have 2 over 1, okay, times 16 over 3. All right, you see how I did that? All right, 2 times 16 is 32 over 3. If I do the long division, 3 goes into 32 10 times. Okay, 10 times 3 is 30. Subtract it, we have 2 left over. Bring it up. And so it's 10 and 2/3. All right, and we know that 2/3 is already in simplest form. This 9 and 2/5, I'm going to do it over here just because we have room. 9 and 2/5, the big C, multiply and add. Okay, 9 times 5 is 45 plus 2 is 47 over 5. Okay, so this is 4 over 1. So we end up with 4 over 1 times 47 over 5. Okay. Now, I don't know what 4 times 47 is, so I'm going to use the calculator. Okay. I'm going to say 4 times 47, 188. All right. So that's 188. I do know what 1 times 5 is. That's 5. So if I say 188 divided by 5, okay, oh well, we can do that. 5, 188 goes in there 3 times, 15, 3, and bring down the 8. 5 goes in 38 7 times, 35, and subtract, and we end up with a remainder of 3, which becomes 3/5. All right. So that's how we do all those types of problems. All right. Now, when we multiply 2 times, let me go back and look. Okay, both of those were positive, so the answers are both positive. Okay, so now when we do this, we're just going to do regular long division. Okay, so we're going to say negative 0.51 times 2. All right. All right. So let's ignore the decimal point right now. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10. Carry the 1. 2 times 0 is 0. Plus 1 is 1. All right. And it's a negative. Okay. We have one negative here. So that's going to be a negative. Now, here's where the decimal comes in. We have this, the 5 and the 1 are behind the decimal point. And here the decimal point comes after the whole number. So there's none on the second number. So we have 2 numbers after the decimal point. So start here at the end and come over and put the decimal point at between the 1 and the 0, because so you have 2 numbers after the decimal point. Okay, so it's -1 and 2/100. This one, we have a negative here, we have a negative here. All right, so we already know that our answer is going to be a positive. All right, so we're going to, and I always like to put because we're multiplying, it doesn't matter what order we multiply in. And so I always like to put the tallest number or the longest number on top. So I'm going to put 3.75 on top, and I'm going to put 0.4 on the bottom, okay? Because we know they're both going to be, the answer is going to be positive, I'm not going to worry about the negatives, okay? 4 times 5 is 20, carry the 2. 4 times 7 is 28, plus 2 is 30, carry the 3. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15, okay? Now, we don't have to worry about this 0 here because it would just be 0, 0, 0. And so we don't have to worry about it. Now, we have 1, 2, and 3 numbers after the decimal point. So we start here at the end and go 1, 2, 3. And so our decimal point would go right here between the 1 and the 5. And we don't really need the zeros at the end, so we could just write it as 1.5. All right. All right, so now here we have 3.1 times 0.28. They're both 2 digits, so it doesn't matter. I'll do the 3.1 up on top and then 0.28 on the bottom. Okay, now we're multiplying. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. Now, we're done with the 8, so we're going to cross that 8 out, and we're going to put a 0 down here to scoot it over. 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 3 is 6. Add. 8 times 0 is 8. 4 times 2 is 6. 2 times 6 is 8. And we look here, okay, we have 1, 2, 3 numbers after the decimal point. So that's 1, 2, 3. So our decimal point would go right here in front of the 8. All right. Last problem. And once again, we have three digits here, only 1 or 2 digits here. So I'm going to put the 2.53 up on top and 0.4 on the bottom. And we notice also that we have the 2 negatives here. So that the answer is going to be positive. All right. And so we're going to go 4 times 3 is 12, carry the 1. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21, carry the 2. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 2 is 10, okay? Let's count how many numbers we have after the decimal point. We have 1, 2, 3 numbers after the decimal point. So start at the end, come over 1, 2, 3, and our answer is 1.012. Okay. All right. So that's it. That's how you multiply fractions and decimals that may have different signs and stuff like that. If you have any questions, make sure you ask me. We'll talk to y'all later on.